Hi guys, I'm T. If you don't know my story, been an addict off and on for 15 years, sober 3 good years, and been to the Utah State Prison. Well, I came across a parole hearing of a girl that I actually was in prison with, lived with in the same unit, we were friends, and I came across her parole hearing. If you don't know what a parole hearing is, it's basically in front of the Board of Pardons. There's usually a panel of 5. You meet with one, and you talk about your crime, you talk about how productive you've been while in prison and what you've been doing, and all of your misconducts like write-ups, fighting, anything like that, they talk about. If you have a victim, they may show up to your parole hearing and give their statement and basically their opinion on if you should be released or not. That weighs heavy in a parole hearing. After the hearing, the panel of 5 get together, they talk about it, and then they come up with a decision in like 2 to 3 weeks, maybe a month. You will get a letter in the mail saying your date or you were denied parole. So I have the news clip of what she did and her crime. So I will play the news clip first, and then I will play her parole hearing, and then I will talk about everything after the hearing.
Tonight, a 2 News investigation into a deadly drunk driving crash. A mother and a son were just going home from a concert in Salt Lake, but they never made it.
22-year-old Kesley Pope was arrested, convicted, and sent to prison, but that's not where the story ends.
Chief investigative reporter Wendy Holloran has been digging for answers into the handling of this case by the Utah Highway Patrol. Wendy, what did you find out?
Well, Mark and Heidi, my investigation calls into question UHP's handling of the crime scene and Kesley Pope, an adult whose parents entered the crime scene and were allowed to call the shots. A mother and son riding home from an Andrea Bocelli concert killed in a crash. One is dead on the scene.
The lady in the passenger seat has died.
Susan Dow. Her son Toby died a few days later.
We've been rocked by this.
This is the woman who was behind the wheel.
Can she sit in that seat?
Oh my God! A tragic chain of events that leaves a family heartbroken.
She was allowed so many liberties after taking a life.
Body camera footage provides a window into UHP's criminal investigation. Sergeant Jeff Dutson is in charge.
I think I can smell alcohol on her breath.
That's Kesley Pope allowed to sit in her parents' SUV after they drove up onto Interstate 15 on their own volition and into the crime scene.
I think I screwed this up. I should have asked her some preliminary questions.
Instead, he read her Miranda rights.
Okay.
You have the right to talk to an attorney.
Okay.
Watch closely as her dad, Jeff Pope, motions into the mirror for his daughter not to talk.
Yeah, please just ask me.
He does it again.
Understand each of these rights I've explained to you.
What?
Do you understand each of those rights?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
She agrees to talk, but her dad said not without a lawyer.
Am I okay to? I don't know. I'm like not in the right mind.
Okay. Okay.
Just wait for a lawyer. Okay.
A critical detail Sergeant Dutson did not include in his probable cause statement. It says she wanted an attorney and made no mention her dad invoked her right to an attorney for her.
He absolutely should have written that in the report.
Chris Burbank, retired Salt Lake Police Chief, is the Vice President of Law Enforcement Strategy for the Center for Policing Equity. He reviewed the body camera footage and documents in this case.
If someone else were sitting in that seat, they wouldn't have the opportunity for that advice.
But would they be sitting in that seat? That's her parents'
No, they wouldn't be.
And I just want you to go out that way.
Then Pope's dad was allowed to drive her to the UHP office.
From an evidentiary standpoint, that's a huge mistake to make.
So they could do the testing. Inside, Jeff Pope was given unfettered access to his daughter.
I mean, that's the standard. If we accept this as that's okay, then that should be the standard for every individual. And it's afforded to someone who just killed 2 individuals.
I took these concerns to Michael Rapich, the colonel of the Utah Highway Patrol.
Does UHP give this kind of treatment to everybody?
To infer that he was somehow trying to treat her differently than he would another person in that situation, I think is entirely inaccurate.
As for her dad motioning for her to keep her mouth shut,
Should he have been allowed to inject himself
he
into
should
the
not,
criminal
no.
investigative process?
No, he shouldn't have.
Would anybody else be allowed to have their parents drive them to the UHP office?
Again, you're right, is allowing someone who's become a suspect in a DUI, specifically an auto homicide investigation, to be transported to the office, even though it was a very short distance, by someone other than a police officer. No, that's not a good practice.
We shared our investigation with Dwayne Crabtree, a family member of Season and Toby Dow.
Tell me why you allowed that and why you would allow that for anybody.
For Crabtree, the way this was handled was an insult on top of the heartbreak of losing 2 loved ones.
That's so unfair to our family.
Colonel Rapich says UHP reviewed this incident and identified things that could have been handled differently. He also said that Sergeant Dutson was trying to get Kesley Pope under emotional control and that it worked. She is currently in prison. Her attorney, Scott Williams, said, quote, "I do believe Kesley was treated differently than the majority of suspects with whom I have been involved. I have never seen a DUI suspect be allowed to be driven by a third party to the station."
Okay, wow. We see a number of things that went wrong during that investigation with the police on the side of the road, with her father and her parents being able to be on the scene with her, her sitting in her parents' car, her dad invoking her rights to speak, and not only that, but was allowed in the interrogation room. I've watched a lot of crime videos, and usually when a spouse or friend and whatever pulls up to a scene, they have to stay back until the investigation is over. So she definitely had special treatment, and guess what? The special treatment does not even end there. In prison as well, this girl gets special treatment. So it is crazy. So now we jump into her parole hearing.
Original hearing for Kesley Pope. Is that you, ma'am?
Yes, I'm Kesley Pope.
You know your offender number?
Yeah, my offender number is 254630.
Thank you. My name is Blake Hills. I am a member of the Board of Pardons and Parole, and I've been assigned to conduct the hearing. I need to swear you in, so please raise your right hand. Do you promise that the testimony you will give will be truthful and accurate?
Yes, I will be truthful and accurate.
Thank you. Go ahead and put your hand down. Ms. Pope, did you receive 7 days written notice of the hearing?
Yes.
Did you receive a blue disclosure packet?
Yeah.
Did you review it?
Yeah, I did.
Are there any questions or concerns about the packet, or was it generally fine?
No, it was generally fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you ready to go forward today?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Let me explain a few things for your benefit and the benefit of those who are here. First, no decision will be announced today in this hearing. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
It's something that will come later, and I'll talk about that more towards the end.
No problem.
The way we will proceed is there is a victim representative here who I've been told wishes to speak. So we will hear from him first.
Okay.
Then you'll have an opportunity to respond to him. And at that point, it will just be a response only to what he has said. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
After that, you and I will talk about the offenses, what you've been doing in prison, and what your release plans are.
Okay.
Do you understand that?
Yeah.
You'll have an opportunity at the end to bring up anything you think the board needs to know that we haven't covered.
Okay.
Do you have any questions about any of that?
No, I'm ready.
Okay. Sir, would you come up to the microphone, please? And will you please raise your right hand?
Am I allowed to turn? No.
No, just, can you see the monitor here?
Yeah.
You'll be able to see and hear him, okay?
Okay.
Sir, do you promise that the testimony you will give will be truthful and accurate?
Yes.
Thank you. Even though I have your name written down here, I need you to state your name for the record.
Christian Dow.
Thank you. Mr. Dow, go ahead and tell me what you would like the board to know.
I would like the board to know, one, how bad my family has been hurt over the last 3 years. We have not recovered from this at all, especially my daughter. The one thing that she feared the most was that her mother would go away and never come home. She lived her nightmare. She is still living her nightmare from that. She lost her brother that she was extremely close to that night. They were inseparable. She wanted to be here, but because of the time frame, she just was not able to make it. But she wanted everyone to know that even with her brother, part of his soul was with her every day of her life. And now that's all she's got left that she has to carry around. From what I've received from the reporter, it doesn't seem like that any accountability has been taken from the Pope family on this issue, because they were blaming my family for that accident, saying it was their fault and not taking any responsibility or accountability for the fact that Ms. Pope here was drunk, driving the vehicle with no insurance. And for me personally, it's appalling on how things were handled. And personally also, I think only 5 years for both my wife and my son is also appalling. I understand that the judge says that's the minimum, and that's why he gave it to him. But it's not enough, in my opinion. I don't know if it's possible to overturn that ruling at this point. And if it's not, personally, she needs to stay for those 10 years and really think about and really take accountability for what's happened here. My son won't speak, but he's completely devastated here. We are all trying to put the pieces back together the best that we can, and we just can't do it. Even till now, we're just struggling. My daughter has become emancipated, trying to go out on her own. I think part of it is because that's what she really wanted, but I think part of it has to do with the fact of the accident happening and trying to control something in her life, because her whole life was upside down. And my son and I were just trying to make it through each day to make this work. And it hurts. I can't think about it because it tears me up. And I can't say for sure, for a fact, but I'm sure my son feels the same way. My daughter wanted to come in here and speak and put her mind out there, but she chose not to. I just think more needs to be done in this case to show where the law and their thoughts and their emotions and their actions play a big part, and it needs to change completely.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that very well-spoken, heartfelt statement.
That is so sad. My heart goes out to the father and those kids. I couldn't even imagine. Now she's in prison, and 2 lives are lost, and many are ruined over this stupid decision. So you heard the man, the victim, he said, minimum of 5 years, up to 10. Anytime she's up for parole, those victims are going to be notified, and every time that they show up to those parole hearings, it's going to be harder and harder for her to be able to be paroled. So I just encourage the family members to continue to show up and fight for it if you don't feel like 5 years is enough time. And typically when an inmate is denied parole, it's called a set-off, and they have typically 1 to 5 years to reapply again. And the board will usually tell you why they denied you and what are some things that you could do to help you get paroled if it happens. Now, I had a caseworker. When you go to prison, every inmate is signed a caseworker. And my caseworker, no joke, would say, here's God, and then the board is right underneath, and then the judges and everything else. So the parole board has a lot of power, and they could deny her and deny her and deny her, like, no matter what. Unless she expires, then she could potentially stay until expired basically is when you're given, say, I'll compare my charges to hers, which are not comparable, but I got a 0 to 5. So that means I could spend 0 up to 5 years in prison or spend some of that time on parole. Well, I have an expiration date, and that is up at the end of the 5 years. So if they continue to show up, she continues to get denied, she could possibly be there up to 10 years until she expires. And that's just the consequences to her own actions.
Ms. Pope, you're not required to respond, but you may respond if you wish. Do you wish to give a response?
Yeah, I would.
Now, you'll need to, we want Mr. Dow to be able to hear you, so can you move just a bit closer to the microphone so he can hear?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I can't say sorry enough. And what I did was so wrong. It was so wrong. And I will deal with that for the rest of my life as well. I cannot even put myself in your guys' family position. As I've tried so many times, it's so impossible. It's so impossible. And my heart hurts for you and your family so much. My selfish decision broke your innocent family. And I wish I could take it back every single day. I pray to Season and Tobias every day as I pray for you guys today. And I said to myself, I can understand why you don't want to forgive me. And I'm so sorry for some of the things my family has said. And I wish that we could all just be in each other's positions to understand how each other are feeling and how each other is feeling, but we just can't. And I said, no matter what was said from my family, it was so wrong. And it is my fault. And I will never not say that it wasn't my fault.
Kesley Pope, an incarcerated individual at Utah County Jail.
I want these charges completely dismissed.
You have to be careful with what you say on here.
Some at fault already with them being on the freeway out of gas. That's against the law.
Yeah.
But I also want to just say to your family that no matter what, Christian, the day that you came and saw me here at this prison, regardless of if you forgive me or not now to this day, I got to hug you. And I've been wanting, from the night that the accident happened, I was wanting to be the one to come tell your family what I did and the mistake that I made.
I'm just so glad that it's my first offense ever.
Oh yeah, you're so lucky there. I mean, it's
like that I'm 22 and
it's your first offense. They always are nice to first offenders.
I know.
Always. The justice system is an adversarial system, meaning that you have the devil and you have an angel. Scott is your angel, and the prosecution is straight up the devil.
Mm-hmm.
And they fight like the devil and an angel, meaning they're both trying to get us the best deal possible. So they want to you.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't even care about who you are or anything. They just want you.
I was getting told I was crazy. No, Kesley, you're not going to go tell. I said, please let me be the one to go tell them that this was me. And I was reflecting on some of my journals just last night, and I want to apologize because I was thrown off by this news segment that I saw last night. Because I went back and I looked at my journal and I wrote about the best day of my life is when Christian Dow came and saw me here. And I got to feel closer to their family and understand their hurt because I was living in the what ifs and the regrets. And I was living in so much devastation in my head. Every single morning as those lights turned on, I was reminded of what I did every single day And when he came and saw me that day, he inspired me to be a better person no matter how hard times get. And so I want to say, no matter how you feel, I will respect it. And I understand it. And I am so sorry forever and ever. And I validate everything that you're feeling. And I will try to understand for the rest of my life. So thank you for sharing. And that's what I have to share to him.
All right. Ms. Pope, did you read the description of the offenses that was included in the blue packet?
Yeah.
Do you agree that that statement is accurate, or are there things that need to be clarified?
There's a few things that I think that we will get to within the questions. I think that as of right now, and that's nothing too big.
Tell me about your history with alcohol. When did you begin drinking?
So I began drinking. I moved down to Costa Rica when I was 18 years old. And that was when I first started drinking. I was 18 years old at the time, and that was actually the legal limit down in Costa Rica. And that's just when it was open to me.
How about the United States? How often were you drinking, and how much were you drinking?
So between the ages of 18 and until I was arrested, 22, how often was I drinking? Not often. Socially, with coworkers or friends, occasions, things like that.
How much do you recall drinking on the day of these offenses?
What I recall from drinking that night was I knew that I had somewhere else to go. And so in my mind, from what I remember, is that I had about 4 drinks that night and then 1 hard liquor shot so about a total of 5 drinks within 5 hours of when I started drinking until the incident.
Let's talk about programming. You were in the Elevate program.
Yeah.
About 2 years ago. That was unsuccessful. Can you tell me what happened there?
Yeah. Well, and I'll mention this as well, as I am in the Elevate program right now. They recently moved me in just a couple weeks ago, and I'm happy to be back. But the reason why I got taken out beforehand was there was an incident in the mini yard, and someone got very aggressive, and I was in the wrong place at the wrong moment and trying to help this person, and there was no helping this person that was showing anger. This person in the mini yard was showing anger, and she took it out on me. And it didn't look good on camera. And as much as, this person's my friend, I tried not to take it personal. I tried not to do too much about it and let it kind of slide off. And security saw it, and they ended up taking us out of.
So they're talking about Elevate. What is Elevate? Elevate is a program inside the prison. Sometimes it's a recommendation to take if you have any substance abuse problems, whether it's drinking or not, but any substance abuse problems. And it also could be a requirement. The board could require you to take the Elevate program before you're released on parole or before you even go see the parole board. So it could be a requirement. And in there, it's a separate program from the prison. So you're away from general pop and everything like that. It's its own little program. And you are programming all day long, like classes to therapy, things like that, to help you get through your addiction problems and help you with any trauma, just things like that. Try to get down to the bottom of all your substance abuse problems. And you're held to a higher standard in that program. Like, you have to be up at a certain time every day. Your bed has to be made. You are just held to a higher standard. So for her to get kicked out of it really looks bad on her, whether it was someone else or not. I mean, in that program, they reward you. Like, you have to hold people accountable. So they'll be like, you can't swear, you can't do anything like that. So they'll have a group and you all be together and you have to hold people accountable. Okay, what did you see someone do that they're not supposed to be doing? Whether it's swearing, whether it's borrowing something, whether it's taking a nap, sneaking a nap in during the day, just whatever. And they reward you to hold other people accountable. So for her to get kicked out looks really bad on her. Yeah, it doesn't look good. Yeah, she got back in it. And sometimes you have to wait months to get back in it. And that could really hold you back. So if you go into that program, you really have to work it.
The program putting us under investigation of what happened in the incident. They saw that I didn't do anything, but due to the fact that I had something that I was not authorized to have in my property, which was, which I'm so embarrassed about, is butter. I had butter from culinary, and I wasn't supposed to have it. And they said, you weren't supposed to have this, and so I got a write-up, and you're not supposed to have write-ups in this program. And so I got suspended of 90 days out of that program. And so after that 90 days, they realized you don't see the board for another year and a half. And so they kind of like prolonged it, and then other things happened that we can speak about.
Have you been in the Elevate program long enough to learn anything that will impact your thinking or behavior?
Oh, absolutely.
Tell me what it is.
Yeah, Dana and Kim, they're amazing women. And they understood that, you know, I would walk into some of these groups and these women would be sharing these insane stories of their addiction. And I would sit there and I'd be not, I don't want to use the word fascinated, but I'd be like very inspired by them. And so, but they could tell that I was kind of to the side being quiet, you know, and so Dana and Kim pulled me aside and they said, it's okay that, you know, like you're going through something very traumatic and, you know, your substance abuse is new, you're young, you know, and this is all so new to me. I'd never been in a program before. And so I learned how to feel feelings without feeling so much guilt. And for, you know, they were teaching me how to forgive myself, and they were teaching me how I can live a life without alcohol. And they were teaching me how to deal with anxiety and PTSD. And they were teaching me so many life skills that I'll hold on to forever. I was in there for about 6 months, and I was in the pre-Elevate, which I didn't understand what pre-Elevate was, but I know it's just because I had a little bit more time, a little bit longer to do.
Okay. One thing that you mentioned yourself that is concerning is there have been a fairly large number of disciplinary violations. Can you tell me generally what is going on that has led to 3/4 of a page of disciplinary violations?
Yeah, I can. Oh, I've reflected on all my write-ups, every single one of them. And even if the ones that didn't make sense to me in the moment, I'm choosing to learn why following rules is important. And some of these rules are a lot of housing rules. And some of the housing rules I struggled with. Moving to this new prison from Draper to this new prison was a big change. It was a really big change. And sometimes I felt like I was having to learn the rules by breaking the rules. And I didn't like that when it comes to laundry or being out of bounds. And there's a few of them that I'm so disappointed in myself. When I saw that blue packet, I basically asked myself, I said, you know.
So I've been to Draper and I've been to the new prison, and let me tell you, it is a night and day difference. I'm not trying to justify her write-ups in any way, shape, or form, but in Draper, you were able to do laundry, your own laundry. They even gave you buckets. They sold laundry detergent, everything like that, so that you could do your own laundry. And at this new prison, they were like, nope, we don't want this prison to look like Draper in any way, shape, or form, so no more doing your own laundry, so that's a write-up. And they used to deliver your trays to your sections, and you'd be able to eat there, save your food, whatever. But in the new prison, they have chow hall. So basically every unit will leave and go eat at the chow hall. You have like 15-20 minutes to eat, and then you're back in your section. So that was a big change, having to go to the chow hall, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You get a write-up if you don't go, which is crazy because in Draper, if you didn't want to eat, you didn't have to eat. You didn't have to take a tray, or you could take several trays. But at this new prison, you have to go to chow hall or it's a write-up. I know that in Draper you weren't supposed to save food, but a lot of us did, and it wasn't a write-up. But at the new prison, she got caught with butter. You get caught with an apple or an orange or your milk, anything like that, it's a write-up, so you can get in trouble. So I feel her when she says, you know, Draper was a lot different than this new prison, because it is. It's a night and day difference, and the rules are different, out of bounds. What she talks about is, so in the new prison, it's all open, it's a dorm setting, and it's like cubicles. So 4 people in one little cubicle. And you cannot go in someone else's cubicle. But in Draper, we all had our own cells, and we never, some cops were like, can't be in someone else's room and things like that. So you could get in trouble, but a lot of times it was a warning. And they really cracked down on the no boundaries in the new prison by not being able to go into somebody's little cubicle of their little section, I guess. So that's the boundaries she's talking about. So yeah, it not to justify that, you know, her breaking these rules is okay, but to go from Draper to this new prison, there were a lot of changes. So even me going to the new prison, I was like, holy crap, this is so different from what Draper used to be. But rules are rules, and you got to follow them regardless.
Why can't I seem to get a hold of myself when it comes to following these rules? You know, like I did a lot of things that made me feel comfortable. And I did break those rules, and I do take accountability for that. And I feel embarrassed over it too. I do. And I feel like I did care sometimes more about maybe like the way that I presented myself than maybe following the rules. And that's where I went wrong.
There's a statement in the IPR, the Institutional Progress Report, that says that you have said that some of the rules are stupid and that it appears that you think they don't apply to you. Is that a statement that you made?
Every single time that I wouldn't say every single time, let me rephrase that. If I were to get a disciplinary, I would go to this thing called OMR. And I would go and I would say, this sounds so stupid. So was I actually saying that the rules are stupid? No. But when I was defending myself and I was saying, oh, this is so stupid, like this is what happened and this is why I did it, and my intentions were good, and I apologize for what I did. You know, I understand that that's breaking the rules, but hear me out. So would I say that following rules is stupid? No. When I'm on outside of prison, I'm a rule follower. You know, I try to follow the rules as much as I can, you know, as a human being, and I take a lot of pride in that. And here it was just a whole different world. It was a whole different world, and I regret saying the word stupid, because they're not stupid, and there's a meaning behind all of them. And I think it more came out of frustration that I kept getting knocked down for something that I didn't mean to look bad or to do something wrong, you know.
If you were to be released, where would you live?
So I'm open to so many things if I were to be released. I've been working with my case manager so much when it comes to this. Case manager, Officer Hooley, he's such a good man. As mad as I was at him for some of the things that he said to me, or some of the things that he came to me with the truth, and I was so mad with the truth, and he would sit me down and he would do what was right, and he stands up for what was right. And so with making a plan with him, he made me open to all options, whether it's a residential program out there, another one if that's what you guys find is okay, or I was really open to doing the Cooks program as well. As I've graduated culinary arts, I was open to doing something like that as a transitional move, and also my grandpa.
Okay, how would you support yourself?
Supporting myself, I would get a job, and I'm so excited to get a job, to be able to earn money and to be able to see what I can do to. I've never taken public transport, but I'm open to everything, and to being able to now that I'm getting a higher education right now, it's opening doors to so many new things, and I think that's going to help me support myself so much more than I ever could before all this.
Do you feel that you've changed since you've come to prison, or are you the same person that you were?
I am the most changed person that I could have ever been able to see myself as. I've grown, and I'm confident in saying that. I want to say that, like, since then, I've also found a passion. I've found a new passion, and that's changed me completely as a person. And that passion is just sharing awareness in the risks and the terror and the terrible things about driving under the influence. I mean, my values have grown, and my value of life, like, changes a person so much. It changes a person so much when you find your values in life, and I just wish that I could go on and on about all of that, of how I've changed. And if you want to hear about it, I'm happy to. I have some notes here that I would love to share as well, if that's okay.
Well, we are at the point where, as I said, if there's anything you think the board needs to know that we haven't covered, it's your opportunity to let us know. So tell me what we haven't covered that you believe the board needs to know.
Okay. When I was going through this board jacket, the board, not the blue one, but where they ask you questions and you fill it out. And there was this question in why I engaged in criminal activity. And I just want to say again that my next destination was more important in that moment. And that was so selfish of me. And it was just so irresponsible. But I want to just say some of the things that I have learned that that really mean a lot to me. And when it comes to my parents, they struggle. They do struggle. And I want to acknowledge that addiction does run in my family, and that I take pride in being a really good example over my siblings. To stay away from that slippery slope of addiction and leading you to a place like this. And don't get me wrong, this place has amazing things, but it also is not a place that you want to be in. But the thing is, the moment that you hurt somebody, this isn't the scary place. The scary place is what's in your head, knowing that you hurt someone, and knowing that you hurt innocent people. And then, but also, some more things that I learned is that my family's also trying to learn how to save lives as well. You know, my father does carry around a breathalyzer with him in his car, and he doesn't drink. But he told me this story, and he said, I saw a guy getting into his car they're up at the ski resort. He's about to get in his car, and he said, hey man, how about you do this? You know? He says, oh, thank you, you know, and he uses my father's breathalyzer, and he says, how about you wait just a little bit? You know, my daughter's sitting in prison right now due to this thing, you know, and my family's out there sharing the story that I feel that it is changing lives, and more lives will be saved, more than lives that were lost. And also, some of the other things that I've learned is I'm still learning how to redeem something so tragic and take this and turn this into something inspiring. I'm great. I've learned how to forgive others and repeatedly forgive myself. I've learned to humble myself and to get my priorities straight. And just to lighten some things up, I mean, I've learned so many cool things from these programs here. I've learned to cook, and I've learned to stay organized, to communicate with all personalities. I've learned to plan and to not judge. I grew my faith, and I've learned to serve others. And I've learned the woman that I want to be. And that's a strong, inspiring woman. I'm growing my education. I'm growing my education so much, and that's something that I would never, ever would have thought that I would have been doing. I've participated in Slick Community College multiple semesters. I graduated culinary arts. I'm in web and graphic design, and I'm so grateful for that. I do UPEP. I do, I've worked as an ADA worker for this lady. She was just so sweet, who just inspires me so much. And she was an alcoholic as well. And her stories just inspire me to stay strong. There's so many things in this prison that has inspired me so much. And that even just down to the small AA groups and the religious services and just everything that I could possibly participate in, I have. And I worked hard for that every single day that I was here, regardless of, even with the times that I was getting in trouble, that I sat there, I said, it's not going to stop me from trying. And for those of you who don't know, my blood mother came here. When my blood mother came, and that was something that I would have never expected in million. I knew she struggled with addiction. And so when she came here, due to DUI offenses, I was so ready to just take care of her and show her the way of what this place can offer you, and make a positive effect in this and say anybody could end up here. And I'm so grateful that she didn't hurt anyone as well. But she did the Elevate program, and they said that in my blue jacket, that's one thing that I also wanted to mention, that in that blue jacket, they said that I couldn't get back in, but there was long periods of time actually that I was on an eligibility list to be able to get back in without, I've had one write-up this whole year in 2024. And the reasoning why they couldn't put me back in on top of, that write-up was that my mother was in there. And due to therapeutic reasons, they wouldn't let me into the program to finish this program until my mother left. And so she just has left in this past July. She actually got out and she's doing really well.
All right. Thanks for telling me that. We need to wrap things up here shortly. Is there any last thing that the board needs to know before making its decision?
I just ask that you listen to the DAOs as well as you listen to our hearts, and just know that I'm so sorry for hurting our community as well, on top of my victims. And I will do everything I can to redeem it, no matter what. But until then, that's all I have to say. Or I'll just keep going on and on.
So Kesley Pope was denied parole this first time. So we'll see when she goes back to the parole board. Again, it could be 1 to 5 years. I would wait until I finish. If I was her, I would wait to finish Elevate before I try to be up for parole again. And I just encourage the family to continue to show up at her parole hearing so that they could prolong it if they feel the minimum of 5 years is not enough. And for her dad to blame the family because the mom ran out of gas, that makes it okay for Kesley to get sloppy drunk and hit a parked car on the freeway? No, it doesn't make it any better. And for him to say, oh, you got so lucky because you're young and you're a first-time offender. Yeah, she did get really lucky because she is a first-time offender and she is young. But again, I just encourage the family to continue to show up at those parole hearings, and hopefully they could prolong it. And if she gets kicked out of Elevate again and continues to get those write-ups, then she's just going to prolong her own stay. I chose to cover this because I was friends with Kesley in the prison. She is a really nice girl. And the privileges that she got at the beginning with the cops, with her dad being there at the scene, driving her to the police station, that doesn't end there. there's a thing called pretty privilege in prison, and she definitely gets pretty privilege. Her own mom was sent to that same prison, and she cried and talked to the cops, and they pulled her mom out, pulled her out, different sections, and let them sit in the hallway and talk and make sure her mom was okay. That, to me, it doesn't matter if your mom, dad, grandpa, brother, sister, uncle, cousin is there at the prison. You're not going to have a little meeting in the hallway. They don't give a shit. So she does definitely get pretty privilege in prison. She does get a lot of things handed to her. And in my opinion, it's not going to do her any good. Please let me know what you think down below. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you like videos like this. Have a good day.